Hello everyone, it's me, Diana. I'm back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about something that we don't talk enough about, but I think we don't have a broader thinking of it. Now, I don't know about the topic so well, but I know that we don't talk enough about it, and that is trauma. When we think of trauma, we think of military people, we think of PTSD, and we think of PTSD as the only one that people get while they're in the army or out of the army because of the certain circumstances that they've been in. But this is a small-minded thinking. To me, from what I've known about trauma, is that you can get trauma from not even being in the army, and so I think that's another thing that people don't discuss about, and the whole wide discussion about trauma, especially in times like this, with the Me Too and the racial violences and all this, it can cause a lot of trauma, and a lot of it, really, it's quite, especially untapped trauma that people don't really notice or see. Well, some people may even hide it. I know that from my experiences that I have dealt with a lot of situations to deal with my past, and even now I still get somewhat flashbacks from it, and I don't think a lot of psychiatrists at the time noticed it, and that's another thing. I don't think a lot of psychiatrists, in today's idea, I think that psychiatrists all sort of fit in this sort of idea that they know that each and every single one of them know what they're talking about and doing. But I think a lot of them are illy educated on certain topics, even if they do have a degree. What's quite shocking for me to say, as I don't have a degree, but I think that for us to just have this discussion, we've got to think of it as a modern way of approaching mental health and how to prepare ourselves with this mental health crisis that is unraveling in front of our eyes because of this pandemic. Don't you ever get that feeling when you're speaking, your mouth sort of gets dry? So I always think that with this mental health crisis exploding, and it is exploding all around us, it really is exploding. People are losing their jobs, people can't afford to pay the rent or the mortgage or the bills, and it causes a lot of problems. But I think trauma, there's a deeper rooted, I think there's a lot more discussions we need to talk about trauma, and violence is going up, and so that causes stress, and that causes a lot of mental health issues, and I think trauma is one of them, really, is one of them that we've got to talk about far more. I think that when we talk about the mental health crisis, we think of it as a non-broader idea, a non-broader spectrum, that we normally think of it as depression, anxiety, suicide, bipolar. I think we don't think of it as more broader aspect of what is included, dare I say, the mental health crisis. What sounds quite insulting, what's included, but that's the sort of question mark that you've got to put yourself towards, is that, hang on, how do we deal with this crisis? What does it entail? Like, what's included? How can we approach it in a very constructive and helpful way towards those who do have mental health? As a person who lives in the UK, I can say three things that needs to improve. We need to have a more understanding within the NHS of mental health, and every doctor needs to be educated about it. We need to have a more broader aspect that's coming from the government aspect, to have more broader look on it. I do know that mental health should be free, as all health should be free at the point of use, because to me, right, a lot of people in a lot of countries don't go to anyone, don't go to get help, because it costs so much money, and for them that costs them their job or their marriage, or so much can cost, because paying for something that really does affect you every single day, really does, change your life. And I really must emphasize that mental health is and should never have been and should never be looked upon as a lifestyle situation. I think that anyone who looks at mental health, trauma, depression, whatever it is, should never look at it as a lifestyle. It is a very, very heartless and cold way of looking at it. And for us to understand, to build a better world, we've got to have a bit of a human being feelings about it. We've got to have a non-artificial intelligence look at it. We've got to have an emotional way of approaching this mental health crisis. For me, who has got mental health, well, I'm getting far more better. It's only depression. Thank God. Well, I shouldn't say thank God, but there are people who really got far more worse depression than me. But my depression throughout the years has most definitely spiraled, dare I say, out of a way where it's really quite unmanageable. And that is the sad thing about it, about having whatever mental health you have. It can really spiral out as unmanageable and really can destroy so much. So for me, right, I think the best ways we can approach this is by this way. By contacting your MP, wherever you are, whatever country you are in. I don't know if America, what system they have. Contact your governor or whatever they have. Even contact your mayor. Tell them that we need to have a more broader aspect of this mental health crisis, and we need to understand trauma far more better. We need to take a more human point of look at it and take a more scientific look upon it and we need to also understand that we also need to include that drug rehabilitation and alcohol rehabilitation should not be looked upon as a crime, but should be looked upon as a health crisis. That is right. We declared war on drugs, but I think that was the wrong thing to do. We should have declared a war on the mental health crisis by taking action and by fixing it. We must understand that a lot of it is interlinked to what we do day-to-day life, how we think, and even religion can play a part to it. No offence to anyone who is religious. I think that if you've got mental health and religious, then there you go. You can still get mental health. Doesn't matter if you're religious or not. But we've got to take a human look at it. So please contact your MP or wherever you are to say that we need to have a more broader look at mental health, and we need to understand trauma far more better. As a person who lives in the UK and trans, I can only deal with my own experiences. But if you are in the UK, then you would understand if you're trans and the whole mental health situation. But mental health doesn't just go on to the LGBT plus. It can go on to anyone. It doesn't care what your skin colour is, doesn't care how old you are, doesn't care how you dress, doesn't care. Mental health will affect every single person. Doesn't matter the upbringing. And this is a fact, in my view. I also do have to admit it that we also have to understand certain mental health isn't looked upon as a mental health. They're looked upon as a personality disorder, like psychopath and sociopath and narcissism. And I think it should be looked upon as mental health. And I think that we need to be very, very open-minded when we talk about these traits and mental health within general about it. And I also think that a lot of people who have been through abusive relationship or bad upbringing, a lot of people have trauma, and we've got to understand that anyone who comes out of the military should, and I mean should, get full help for rehabilitation and for help. Now I do know that some countries are probably better, but I'm talking about a far more open-mindedness to it. For me, I think that no person should be homeless by any means. And I know that it's not sort of a part of this mental health page, but it should be, because mental health can make you homeless. I really must emphasise that. So next time when you see a person on the street who is homeless, have a broader look at it. And make sure that you contact your local MP or your parliamentary MP or your mayor to say that we need to fix this homeless crisis. We need to have a broader look at it. A broader idea of what mental health is and a more human look at it and to make it free. To fix this crisis, we've got to have understanding of free and broader look at it. Thank you for so much, and thank you to my new subscribers on my YouTube page and my Facebook page, what this will go up on. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Stay safe, and just know you are wanted, loved, and your mental health matters. Thank you.